I'm going to start out with just some things that the channel gave for me on an energetic level to start out tonight, and then we're going to jump in, and I'm going to turn it over to you, and unless the channel tells me to get involved. So basically, what we're being asked to bring into balance, because when energy is in balance, energy is in choice. Before we start this beautiful webinar on the autoimmune tonight, is we are directing, so everybody is joining me with this because you're the director of your own energy, to clear the physical, mental, emotional, chemical, spiritual, dimensional, and cosmic imbalances that are in our energy within the definition of happiness that has been handed down through the subject of genetic balance. We are directing our heart to be open front and back and merged with our whole brain. Our chakras to be open, balanced, spinning in the right direction. Our hara lines to be straight, strong, and through the ID point, and that we are aligned with Source. And we are choosing, claiming, directing that I choose to support and birth myself to keep myself safe and alive. That's the positive of core belief on our sheets, number 19. Now, just to sum up the autoimmune, and Frank will probably correct me on this, but the autoimmune disease is when the body mistakenly thinks that something in itself is wrong or foreign or bad, and it proceeds to attack itself. Right now, from what I understand, there's about 88 different diagnoses that are attributed to autoimmune. We have 3 times more autoimmune diseases in the last 50 years. Basically, they're attributing that to toxic metals, pesticides, and toxins. And the one thing I know Frank will talk about this in, I should call you Dr. Bredice, shouldn't I? Dr. Bredice.
You call me by his first name is quicker, so.
Oh, okay.
That's fine.
We all have genetic predispositions, guys, to something. But whether that link breaks and really takes form as an autoimmune depends a lot on how well we take care of our bodies, our minds, our spirits, of course, the stress factor, how much we're subjected to toxins, which are poisons, can come from food, can come from things like mercury, microbes, allergens, all that kind of stuff. So those of you with arthritis or gout or fibromyalgia or cancer, all those are being attributed, believe it or not, to the autoimmune system. And one of the biggest problems, Frank, that I would like you to explain tonight also is the leaky gut, because from my studies, and I was also tested for leaky gut at one time, that's what one of the biggest problems is for all of us, is if we have leaky gut, all these poisons are being poured out into our blood system. And some of those symptoms are gas and bloating and undigested food in your stool. We're going to talk about really fabulously sexy stuff tonight, guys. Vitamin D, if you're not getting enough vitamin D, it's a big contributor to autoimmune disease. And this is what the channel really wanted me to leave with, and then I'll turn it over to Frank. If we do not respond to ourself and the highest choice for ourself because of anger or grief or fear or judgment, that takes us into uncertainty because we've given our power away. Uncertainty is self-doubt. And if we go into self-doubt, we are not going to continue to create ourselves consciously. When we stop creating ourselves, we turn against ourselves, which is the definition of autoimmune. And they want to remind us and have us choose and claim that we are, I am, the power, the love, the joy, and the choice. Our hearts remain open to ourselves, and we are one with harmony and love and joy, and so it is. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm sure you can explain it much better than that was, but I wanted to get in some of the energetic, spiritual stuff to begin with, okay?
Okay. Well, what you just shared with us is very interesting because autoimmune diseases are primarily diseases of developed countries. They don't have many autoimmune diseases in underdeveloped countries. They just don't have it. So there's reasons, but what I feel is people in underdeveloped countries they have their own set of stresses, but they're not the stressors that we have in developed countries.
Like?
Well, their way of dealing with life is much more simplistic, and they're usually one with the earth. Kind of like something that we would consider to be not advanced, but it really is quite advanced.
Yes.
They deal with things on a much. They don't have the luxury of picking up a phone and calling the doctor, so they have. They develop this oneness with the earth and the energy from the earth. Now, that being said, they also, as what we did when we were children. I'm going to be 7 years old in a couple of years. And we played in the dirt. We ate dirt, played with dirt, ate sand, played with worms. We actually overdeveloped our immune system. People don't do that now. And in developed countries, an autoimmune condition right now, as Dee said, there's over 80 different disease states that can be or are attributed to an autoimmune response. Autoimmune responses are genetically based. That's for sure. Genetically based, and then they're initiated by a trigger, either an outside trigger or an internal trigger. The internal trigger is kind of the tricky trigger because you don't really know why something, kicks off, but I think that if you traced it back, most of these internal triggers are actually outside triggers that get inside us and then don't manifest. For instance, like type 1 diabetes, where the islets of Langerhans, those are the cells in your pancreas that make insulin, just stop making insulin. So they're pretty sure now that all of type 1 diabetes are viral. A virus gets in your system, usually at a young age, and it causes your pancreas to actually attack itself, and you can't produce insulin.
Thank you for listening to this sample from one of Dee Wallace's enlightening webinars. If you liked what you heard and would like to listen to the complete webinar, click the link in the description below. This is but a small sampling of the many awesome downloads, archived shows, enlightening webinars, and amazing free offerings available at www.imdwallace.com.